which is what happened to me. I was in survival because I was dysregulated. All I knew is doom and gloom. Fear was my predominant emotion with anxiety. So there's no way I could see solutions. How am I going to see solutions if all I'm vibrating is fear?
Welcome back to the Darren Well podcast. I'm so glad to have you today. My guest today is Sophia Torrini. She is a certified clinical EFT practitioner. So she's going to explain what EFT is, helps people heal trauma, regulate their nervous system, and rewire subconscious patterns using neuroscience-based emotional work. She bridges science and the soul to help individuals step out of survival mode and to align with their future self. I'm so excited for you guys to hear more about Sophia and how she helps us to learn how to overcome burnout and identity collapse by learning to regulate your own nervous system. Thank you so much for joining the Daryl podcast. Welcome again, Sophia, to the podcast. So, sorry, go ahead.
And I'm ready to start wherever you want to start.
Awesome. So welcome. So before we get into our talk today, can you briefly share your why? Like what inspired you to get into EFT? And as we talk, we can explain more of what EFT is, but what inspired you to start EFT work? You talked about identity collapse and burnout. So what inspired you?
Like everybody else, was working in the healthcare field, and I had an interest in helping people for healing, and I was a pretty darn healthy human being. I mean, really healthy. And there was a turn of events because I was in survival. I made a decision to trust to have a surgery that actually almost cost my life. I ended up 23 days, but I wasn't expected to live. The strange thing is I did live, but there were consequences after I lived. I ended up with permanent, incurable health conditions. And after 14 years of struggling and getting worse, I said there has to be another way. And I started searching and started studying, and I found how the brain and body works, which was the key component, and the importance of emotions, which was an intellectual concept at the time. But I started on that path, and I realized once I started meditating and doing these various practices, I couldn't get to the new state of being whole without dealing with my emotions. I could not control my thought patterns. I was like getting hit like a tornado with these negative thought patterns. And EFT really balanced things out. And I never thought it was going to work that effective. I actually had judged it. So after 6 months, my practitioner suggested that I take a training course, and I really didn't really believe in it still, even though I was seeing the effects on me. I thought it was just going to work on me, no one else. And I took the test, I did the certification, and after my first client, I literally was flawed when I literally saw her start changing her life. And that's the moment that I made, okay, it's healed me. And it's healing this person over Zoom right there in another country. And that was the turning point. And now I'll explain what clinical EFT is. So clinical EFT is evidence-based EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques. It's a sequence of using cognitive psychotherapy. So we use some words and we tap on the body's meridians to move energy, because all disease is a lowering of frequency. So it's stuck energy of emotions that we didn't feel in the body. And why is it important? Because emotions carry information, and emotions is energy in motion. And if we don't release those emotions, they get stuck and they cause disease. Now, every time you have a thought, you create chemistry. Your limbic brain, which is the seat of your autonomic nervous system, and your subconscious mind produces chemistry. And as children, we didn't learn to feel those emotions, and the patterns got stuck in the body. So by the time you're 30, 50, or 60, you have these knots in your body, and you want to do something, but this knot hits you, or this anxiety starts like this in your body, and you can't move forward. That's old energy that's stuck. And EFT does miracles in moving that out and moving it through.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, it was a personal journey of just kind of learning how, even with your medical stuff, it was life transformative for you.
Yes, and I have been to the best doctors, and I have a master's in epidemiology, and I wasn't healing. And something that they said was terminal and incurable. Well, I don't take any pills today.
Wow. So you're a walking miracle. Look at that. Look at that. That's cool. And so when you think about the parallel process, can you speak more about the parallel path process and
Okay.
how that helps people to release emotional?
So there's always another. So we have two modes of living in survival and living in creation.
Yeah.
So first, we have to start healing our current self. And when we open a little bit our heart, not too much, just a little bit, the heart is the portal. You can actually connect to your future version. So there is another you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the desire to get the new job or to be healthy. Some energy, which is your future self, is calling you to you. So with the parallel process, what we do is we first go and heal the old traumatized self. We heal the now, the old self, and then we connect to the future self. So we anchor all versions of ourselves. So you become whole. What is healing? It's wholeness, meaning all your parts, all your fragmented parts together. And now you're being guided by your future self. You wouldn't be able to do that unless you actually have the connection yourself. I mean, I could tell you anything you want, but unless you have the experience as the client or the individual, it doesn't matter what I say, right? So you have to have the embodiment. So the parallel process is basically that. To go to the past, to heal the past, so you shift to a parallel timeline and then also connect to your future self. And now you can be guided to a future that's much better, right? Because my old story is I was headed for death, right? Or if I didn't die right away, well, in my case, I was headed for death, but I would be on these pills and they wanted me to remove several organs, which I refused. I did not remove them. But if you've ever taken any medications, there's always a fog and there's always a direct effect. You're like, it's just this heaviness and it's a big relief. So my future self was saying there's another way.
Mm. So trusting your gut, trusting your future self, trusting with hope. I hear a lot of hope in that story.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's powerful. So as you think about the parallel path process and thinking about this unresolved emotional patterns and our nervous system, can you explain more how that helps how people keep getting stuck in that survival mode and dealing with stress, dealing with trauma? So chronic stress, chronic trauma, how does people get out of that stuck mode?
So when you're in chronic stress, first of all, you've activated your sympathetic nervous system. And the reason that that has happened is because anger, fear, or anxiety create high beta brain waves, and then the survival system of the body automatically switches on, which is the sympathetic nervous system. So the first thing that we need to do is start regulating to start changing our brain waves, which is why meditation is effective. But in EFT, when you're actually physically tapping, your brain waves are going to change. Now I could start working on these emotions that are getting me angry. So it's usually the low frequency emotions that get us activated. And there's a wonderful map called the Maps of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. And he has mapped the frequency of these emotions. And anything below 200, which is pride, and it goes anger, fear, whatever, all of them are there, are life depleting. So if you live in those survival emotions, your nervous system is dysregulated. And furthermore, when you're in survival, you don't see opportunity and choices. There's only one choice you see: doom and gloom, the cup half empty, which was me. Once you go into the elevated emotions, which is above pride, above 200, they support life. And now you see choices. Maybe there's another way I can do it. Maybe I could try this. And then you find your way in the maze And then if you start working with your heart and your nervous system is regulated, you know this is the right choice for you, which is what happened to me. I was in survival because I was dysregulated. All I knew is doom and gloom. Fear was my predominant emotion with anxiety. So there's no way I could see solutions. How am I going to see solutions if all I'm vibrating is fear? And
Yeah.
tomorrow my situation's going to be worse, since that's what I believe. That's the only option. This is an incurable condition. So that's I believed.
Yeah. So you've got to change your thoughts, your emotions.
And then your actions and behavior. So we start usually with the thought, but the most important thing, because there's an electromagnetic field, is the emotion. So the thought sends the signal, so I want to be whole. But if you have fear that you're not going to be whole, it doesn't matter what
Because
the
it's not
thought.
aligned.
Correct. So the brain and the heart, which is what they call brain and heart coherence from the Heart Math Institute, has to be aligned. So if you're open to the opportunity and have relief, even if it's relief, not gratitude, relief is a good enough emotion. Maybe there's another solution out there. That is good enough to start to get you moving to that direction. And now you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And now you can start moving to your path. Does that make sense?
That is cool. That's cool, Sophia. Thank you for breaking that down. So as we think about ways to rewire our brain, and so what are some basic steps? So would you say starting rewiring your brain with the emotions or starting with the thoughts first?
Well, your emotions have to be regulated. So I would acknowledge what the feeling is, work with it with a little bit, either with tapping or some other modalities. There's a few other ones, but tapping is the fastest one. But actually allowing the emotion to move through you. And let's say the doctor said this condition is incurable, right? And I'm calm. I can now start researching and say, so my new thought, the doctor said, no, this organ needs to be removed. And I could say, you know what? Thank you for your opinion, but I choose to research. And you go researching and you say to yourself, there's another choice. And then you go looking and you hear testimonials from people who are at the brim of death. And now you find your solutions, right? So you don't fight against the system. You don't fight against the negative thought. You acknowledge it.
Lean into it.
Just change it a bit. In the beginning, it's going to be difficult. So you don't say, let's say they gave you a month to live. You don't say tomorrow I'm whole, because the body's not going to take it right away, right? You can say, well, other people have healed. There has to be a way for me too. So even that little change, that little new thought, which is not as bad as the other one, opens the door for you.
To rewire your brain. Yeah.
Yes. And then you do it in increments. Now, when you become stronger, you say, you know what? I've healed once before. I can do it again. Or I lost my business before. I can do it again. I don't have to stay in doom and gloom. Then later on, you go, when they give you all these stories, which authority is telling me that? That authority may be good for those people, but not for me. I have a choice, and I know my body can self-heal under the right conditions.
That's good. That's good. What are some key ways that people can tune into their body when they're to know that their body is dysregulated?
The first thing is to see how they're breathing. So every time we're in beta brainwaves, and let's say fear comes or something happens, this is what we do. Let's say fear hit me. If you noticed, I held my breath. Holding the breath is actually what holds the emotional pattern in the body. That's why people who have anxiety have shallow breathing. The best thing to do is always do pelvic breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, and especially for women, because our power is in the first energy center, to breathe down there. It activates a lot of stuff, and it's very helpful for us because women can be very creative. We have a lot of creative force. So just breathing in that area. And let's say now I have a knot by my navel because there's anxiety. Okay. I see you. I observe it. I don't judge it. I don't judge it right away. Get away from me. I don't want you. And when I calm down, do you have a message for me? Or where is this coming from? How old am I?
So really tuning into your body,
Yeah, and you'll
the
get the
wisdom.
message. Yep, it's going to give it to you when you don't fight with it. The body wants you to be an ally, but we've been trained with the belief that my body is failing me. No, my body has old programming and it's following my mind and it's following subconscious patterns that I'm not aware of. My childhood experiences, which were saying doom and gloom. No, this is not going to work out. You're not going to heal. Everybody's getting sick, or whatever the story that the mind's replaying, right? So now we want to retrain the body to follow me. It's like taming an animal. You get a frightened dog in the house, you don't beat it with a frying pan, right? You keep, it's barking, 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 and you keep on petting it and giving it a little food. Eventually, the little dog is going to acclimate. The same thing with the body. And it's actually funny. We have a technique called havening. You may have heard it, where you rub
The
your,
self-haven in touch. Walk us through that. It's the self-haven in touch.
so you can do this and just be loving and feeling your body, or even doing your throat or your heart and your hands. Just the act of doing this slowly, actually now doing it even while I'm talking, I feel this warmth and this calmness. So, okay, so I have this knot in my stomach. Okay, I see you, knot. Do you have a message? And I can see my mind saying, I don't want you here. So I acknowledge myself and I'm going to say, right now I'm safe. So even though I'm feeling this anxiety, I'm safe. And then this is what calms and starts rewiring. The fact that you're talking to it and saying, right here, I'm safe, or you can say, whatever was happening then, because I don't know what's running there, is not happening now. And that cue gives the body and it changes the brain waves. So to recap this, if we can learn to change our brain waves to alpha, theta, or delta, then the body goes into rest and digest. Usually theta and delta are the best ones for, which is why deep sleep is very helpful. But most people can't sleep at night because they're wired and their racing thoughts are going on. And what they're doing, the body is getting worse because you're replaying. And now when you replay the old memories, you're rewiring your trauma more. So we're not meant to engage on our traumas.
Yeah.
We're meant to let them go to the best of our ability. And tapping does miracles on that. And we also have hacking reality, where we go in the past and rewrite that experience with a different belief after it's been neutralized. So I do that in the parallel process. We don't just meet the future self. We have to heal the old self who brought me here, that's terrified, or whatever the story is.
Yeah.
So all three versions have to align. And why all three? We have a neocortex, we have a limbic brain, and the cerebellum. So your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and the automatic programs, and your body have to become unison and one.
Yes, yes, yes. So as we wrap up, thinking about any other mindset strategies that you wanted to share?
Okay, so the first thing, just to recap, is to acknowledge where you're at. Look around. Let's say you're having a panic attack. Okay, I'm having a panic attack in this office. Well, apparently there's no one in my office. So now I can take a few breaths, connect with the body, and start working with it. And then continue doing some breathing and emotions. If you don't put any story in it, the science shows that the emotion will move your body within 90 seconds to 2 minutes. The research is out. It's been out for years. But when we put stories in it, it lingers. And this should calm you enough, or look around and orient yourself. Okay, so I'm having a panic attack. Well, is there anything in the room to have a panic attack? I want to put a caveat on panic attack so people know. A panic attack has started an hour, the research shows, has started an hour before the physical panic attack, which means there were cues coming inside the body, and you or me, not you, but we were ignoring them. So if we're more connected on a regular basis with the body, you're not going to have a panic attack.
So just being more mindful.
Be more mindful, try to be as present and anchoring your body and the breath inside the abdomen. You
Yeah.
cannot have a panic attack and be breathing in your abdomen. It's physically impossible.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Sophia, for sharing more about the EFT and also for actually walking us through the self-haven in touch. That is one of the greatest techniques that I have learned. Yeah, absolutely. And I hope listeners use that as a technique to help them just to ground themselves. Super awesome. And what's beautiful about the self-havening technique, even if any of those touches feels, because of trauma, feels too triggering or activating, just watching is also, you're going to get the benefit of the grounding. So you can lean into it however you feel that's going to be comfortable for you. So Sophia, do you mind to share how people can connect with you? Like, what are the resources and what are the ways that people can connect with you?
They can come to my website, tapintoyourbestself.com, and all my social media is at Tap Into Your Best Self. With an exception, Facebook is tapintoyourbestself.org. I offer a 30-minute complimentary session so we can connect to see what's the right technique for you, because maybe you want something else. And I also do a 75-minute masterclass that's complimentary, teaching Dr. Joe's Dispenza's Change Your Mind, Create New Results. This is pure neuroscience, how the brain and body works, and it's a practical embodiment of his teachings. It's not lectures. So it's a physical hands-on class. I also write a blog, and I love teaching the actual course or the master class, and I have seen superb results. And we have taught this course to prisoners that have changed their lives, Vietnam vets, and Navy SEALs. And these are groups that are highly traumatized and changed their lives. So if they can change their lives, I'm pretty sure anyone listening on this call can change their lives, because it changed my life.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sophia, for joining the Daryl podcast. So glad to have you. I'll put all the links for everyone to connect with you in the show notes so that way they can connect with you. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much, Sophia, for joining. Guys, don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe wherever you're hearing this episode. Wishing you a fabulous day. Until next time, keep living, keep loving, and keep daring well. Take care, guys. God bless.